on the sly, important judges come to visit me
Mm-hmm.
to tell me their plight.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for example, some years ago, I visited for a while with a chief judge from another part of the country, pledged to confidentiality. I will not reveal his name. Sherman, the mafia is taking over my courthouse. Please help me. Nobody in authority will help me. The FBI is corrupt. The DEA is in on it. Figure out a way to help me. And so we went into some details, and my methods did not do the trick. I cannot snap my fingers and make the corrupt FBI go away. And eventually the chief judge resigned and went into some other work. But through that, I got to learn a lot.
Mm-hmm.
At another time and place, I interviewed several times a chief judge of another part of the country who was elected to his position by a large vote, tried to put the president of the Bar Association of his area in jail for perjury and false affidavit in a probate case. Guess what happened?
Dead or jailed?
The Bar Association president had strong politics on his hands
Mm-hmm.
and ran the judge out of town.
Mm-hmm.
The judge bought a house trailer, packed up his goods, and fled
Mm-hmm.
for his life.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the type of people that sometime in the middle of the night visit me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Others over the years that I have become very friendly with are retired spooks,
Mm-hmm.
Retired intelligence operatives. Some of those in or out of the Secret Service that were part of guarding presidents over a period of 50 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One of those told me a profound reason for the murder of President Kennedy. Over and above all the bullets, whether they went this way or that way in Dealey Plaza, Dallas, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, and remember, these are people that guarded presidents.
Mm-hmm.
This president, they told me, for better or worse, set off a feeling in the United States, because he was charming and very articulate, that the era of the common man had arrived.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, he set off a dangerous psychology, dangerous to the ruling families and the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Because the ruling families take the position they are in control. They will tell you what history there is. If they don't tell you, it never happened, supposedly. That the common man is in danger, that the common man has no power, and that all the power is with the news media and the Rockefellers and the rest of them. And they never put it the other way. In other words, they always show the Rockefellers smiling. They never show anything negative about them. Kennedy, because of the way he did things, reversed that.
Mm-hmm.
He set forth a psychology in the United States that the era of the common man had arrived.
Empowering the citizen.
Right. That the common man had power, as intended under the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
We the people.
We the people, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
For that, he had to have his brains blown out. Now, you pointed out something. In the 70s, I and another fellow, both assassination researchers, were the only two in the United States that found a way to smuggle into the country books printed in 14 different languages and in English that were bestsellers in Europe and around the world, but were not permitted to be distributed in the United States by bookstores. It was a book.
We don't have censorship here, do we?
Absolutely. Well, it was called Farewell America.
Mm-hmm. James Hepburn. Pen name.
It was written under a pen name.
Mm-hmm.
The book was copyright in a pinpoint of a country called Liechtenstein,
Mm-hmm.
printed in Belgium.
Mm-hmm.
And I and Penn Jones Jr., who was a assassination researcher in a Dallas suburb,
Mm-hmm.
were the only two that were able to get the book and distribute it. I distributed it one by one. I gave them away for small donations while giving speeches.
At colleges and whatnot?
I had a special vehicle, and despite my disability, I traveled around the United States giving speeches at colleges in the 70s. And I gave away the book in return for small donations to our work.
I think that's where I got my copy, Sherman.
Okay, but wait a minute now.
I'm listening.
When I give out my address later, I don't want to get bombarded with stories. I want to get another copy, Mr. Skolnick. I got only one copy left.
Yeah, there's...
Some of the copies are still floating around, and they get as much as $100 a copy. You can tell they're the legitimate book, and I'll tell you why. All of them were printed with a defect in the glue in the spine of the book. If you lay the book flat, open, it cracks. But that little trick proves that it's the real book. You know what I'm saying?
The unedited version.
That book had and has the only accurate list of everything that's in the National Archives that they were not to release for 75 years, even with this recent law to open the archives and release certain things. But there are, the index in the back of this book still has lists of things that are still to be locked up until the year 2039. When some of you that are a little younger than me are going to still probably be doing this broadcast. But in other words, 30 years that have passed have not dimmed this book. It is still as correct and accurate as when it came out in Europe in the 60s, in 14 languages. I think in French it was Brûlez America. In other words,
goodbye.
Burn America, which in English was translated to Farewell America. There are some that have written about this book, contending that the book was written under a pen name by the French CIA that had infiltrated the plot against Kennedy. In fact, one of those that was in Dealey Plaza that was arrested was dressed with a frilly front like a Frenchman, and he was called Frenchie. And the one in Chicago that was arrested for a traffic violation that was part of this was Thomas Arthur Valet, a Frenchman. And the arrest records that we had, hey, think about this, he was arrested on a $5 thing, traffic violation, 2 blocks off to the parade route, and the traffic violation document, instead of being in the court records, ended up to be kept secret for 75 years in the National Archives. We had that document. We attached it to our lawsuit.
Oh, is that right?
And what was interesting about the document, it had the alias name of Valet.
Oh, wow.
Calling him M1. In recent years, a Brazilian author woman did a thing called, I forget what the exact title of it was, but Fidel Castro did a documentary on Havana TV about who was behind the assassination of President Kennedy. The State Department did not allow Castro's documentary to be put on the television in the United States. Guess where was the only place, in defiance of the U.S. government, that documentary went on the television?
Oh, broadsides?
Yeah, my television.
In Chicago. Is that right?
What I told, I don't swear on my television show. That's the only thing that is censored. No swearing. What I said to the State Department, I use obscene language. You could imagine for yourself. I said, blah, 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 State Department. In other words, the hell with you, State Department. This is going on the air. You know who I am. You want to come to arrest me. Get in line behind the judges that have arrested me for contempt, and we'll see where that goes.
Just for
what's interesting is,
for information, just so you won't be inundated with phone calls for the book Farewell America, it is available, and hopefully it's the unedited version at Tom Davis Books. And apparently, the price that's showing here on the internet is $21.95.
I hope that that's true. But the last time I tried to pull up his website, it was gone.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. So
is Tom Davis still there?
Yeah, I'm looking at the website
Well, I
now.
hope what you say is correct, that it is available.
Yeah, yeah.
I was hoping somebody, after all these years, would reprint it. But let's get back to the point.
Yeah, that's just at www.tomdavisbooks.com.
All right, that's good. I'm glad that you mentioned that. So, for example, some years ago, I visited for a while with a chief judge from another part of the country, pledged to confidentiality. I will not reveal his name. Sherman, the mafia is taking over my courthouse. Please help me. Nobody in authority will help. Chief Judge resigned and went into some other work. But through that, I got to learn a lot. At another time and place, I interviewed several times a chief judge of another part of the country who was elected to his position by a large vote. Trust me, the FBI is corrupt. The DEA is in on it. Figure out a way to help me. And so we went into some details, and my methods did not do the trick. I cannot snap my fingers and make the corrupt FBI go away. And eventually the reason for it is that on the sly, important judges come to visit me to tell me their plight. And tried to put the president of the Bar Association of his area in jail for perjury and false affidavit in a probate case. Guess what happened?
Dead or jailed?
The Bar Association president had strong politics on his hands and ran the judge